So, Final Fantasy, as compared specifically to New World, is a story-based MMO. Now, over thousands of hours spent, story is a very small percentage of it. But the story must be cleared to unlock the content. So, what that means as a New World player is if you were looking for the story, imagine if every time you, all those little books that you find around, if all of those were quests and you had to do those quests. And you had to at least pull the quest text up even if you pushed escape. And, unlike New World, this game has been out a long time. 2.0 is the beginning of is where new players start, A Realm Reborn. You have to beat A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, which is the content I'm in right now, Shadowbringers, which is the current MMO, all to get to Endwalker, which releases November 19th, right around the corner. And you cannot set foot in the new expansion content until you have done all of that. And so if you started a new one today, which the free trial will let you get all the way through 2.0 and 3.0, so you can play totally for free, all the way to level 60, take as long as you want. You can try every single class in the game on one character. So very similar to swapping weapons in New World. You'll be swapping weapons, and that determines what skills are available to you. You have a lot more skills here. So it's a lot closer to like World of Warcraft in that way than something like New World. The rotations are like a big thing. And you have to push through story. It's a lot. Right now, story skips are being sold at half off for people that are like determined they want to play the game but don't want to play story. But story skips, even at half off, you'd have to pay to skip the game. So you'd have to buy a complete edition of the game only to pay to skip it. And so that's the big difference with New World, is you're going to have to clear story. Now, if you're somebody who played New World, but then you also enjoy other action-style combat games, like maybe you like God of War, maybe you like Assassin's Creed, where you're used to having combat, but then you're also used to having a story, well, that's what this is. You're going to have that story along the way, and then the story's going to check in, and regularly throughout the expansion, you're going to have group fights where you get to do that with 4 or 8 people. And you're going to go into those group fights as you're told the story, with the intention of kind of clearing those with a group. So the MMO is kind of baked in. It's not single player all the way up. Some people say that, and then every time you get stuck at a fight waiting on somebody else to run it with you. But in order to tune that, you asked about catch-up system. It used to be that the story was in addition to the content. And so you had to clear the story and other things along the way. Like in New World, you had to go out and kind of level things up. They have tuned it now so the story alone will level your first character all the way up. And so if you just do the story, you will level it. As a matter of fact, if you start on a newer server, and they give you what's called a Road to 70 buff, you can actually level multiple classes all the way to cap just doing the story. So, now the big difference between it and New World ongoing is it sounds like you're done with New World for a bit. And you might go back when they add a new weapon, or if they go add a new PvP type, or if they add a new set of zones, right? Or if they create some new cross-server system that makes it fun to try PvP or PvE against each other, you might hop in and do some of that, right? But you're going to kind of come and go. New World is closer to the action RPG series in many ways, and like that, it's going to kind of function like Path of Exiles or Diablo, where you kind of hop in based on like a season of content. And so it might literally be seasons like those games, or it'll be like, hey, they added some new patch, and so I'm going to play for a brief amount of time, and then I'm going to disappear for a while. But there's no subscription, so you're going to come and go as you please. Maybe they end up locking some of that behind a DLC wall or something like that. The pay model will vary, but ultimately, you're going to hop back in, similar to Guild Wars, or ESO, or Destiny, and you're going to pay whatever their pay model is, and you're going to hop back in, and you're just going to enjoy it. But ultimately, if you quit New World once, you will quit New World every single time you play it. The next time they add 5 new weapon types, you will hop in and play those. 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, and you will quit all over again. And the next time they add 5 weapons, you'll go back again, and you'll quit all over again. And you'll keep doing that. Final Fantasy is much more content-driven. So every 2 years, we get an expansion, ballpark. And so we are about to go into an expansion. That expansion comes with an entire single-player RPG worth of story, as well as all new, we actually raise our level cap by 10 levels, we get new classes, we get new types of content, we get new raids, new dungeons, new all sorts of stuff. And then, throughout the entire following 2 years, we get a patch every couple months. So we get a half patch every 8 weeks, and we get a full patch every 16 weeks. That totals to 5 patches every 2 years. They're not exactly evenly spaced. The gap between 6.0 and 6.1 and 6.5 and 7.0 will be a bit longer than the other ones. And then there will be half patches in between those. And that will all have content. All of it. Everything. There will be a new story every main patch. There will be a new raid with 6. There will be a new four bosses to a raid system added with 6.0, 6.2, 6.4. There will be an alliance raid system with 24 people in a group, added 6.1, 6.3, 6.5. So it's a ton of content. And so your breaks from Final Fantasy, if you like Final Fantasy, are much shorter than something like New World, where you come back and you play every couple months without fail. Now, unlike New World, you quit New World when you get bored. It's not like you and your friends all get bored on the same day. Y'all just kind of slowly fizzle out. There is a very specific set of content here. And so this is very much a theme park. If you think of New World as a sandbox, you play in the sandbox until you are bored. Until you built the sandcastle you wanted to build, and then you left. Now, you wanted to build that sandcastle with some friends, and so when they left, you may have quit begrudgingly. But ultimately, you play until you get bored, until you run out of things to do. Very similar to something like Minecraft or D&D. You play until it's not fun for you. In Final Fantasy, this is much more of a curated experience. So this is a theme park. So there is a very specific number of rides to ride. Now, the number of rides is enormous, but you can theoretically eventually finish all of them. Theoretically. Especially if you walk into the theme park and you say, okay, there's a whole section of haunted houses. I don't like haunted houses. And so you just knock those off your to-do list. So for people that play Final Fantasy that only like very specific types of content, they can absolutely get to the point where they have finished everything they want to do. For some people that's story, for some people that's challenging raid content with groups, for some people that's PvP, for some people that's crafting. Some people like some combination of those things. There's all sorts of things to do in the game. There's a ton of things to do. It's been around, it's actually an 11-year-old game at this point, and so it's got seasonal events, it's got, mini games to play, it's got a ton of stuff in it. But ultimately, it is a theoretically finite amount of things, and if you play it 40 hours a week, you theoretically are going to complete content faster than it comes out. So at some point in the future, you are literally done, and they say at that time, we encourage you to take breaks. Of course they encourage you to take breaks, because they know you'll be back. Because with New World, I said, you'll be back when they give you a reason to come back. We already know the reason to come back. 6.0 releases on the 19th. If you finish everything you want to do in 6.0, I'll see you in 6.1. If 6.1, if you finished everything you want to do in 6.1, I'll see you in 6.2. There are people that like to let the patches build up and complete them 2 at a time, 3 at a time. There are people that will play 6.0 and will disappear until 6.5 and come back and do 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 all back to back. Is there a Christmas event? There is. There is. Yes. We get different, so the events aren't repeated. So in World of Warcraft, your seasonal events are repeated. It's the same event every year, and then they might add like new quest givers and the new zones for it. So it's the same event every year. So Brewfest really hasn't changed since they first added Brewfest. In Final Fantasy, each seasonal event is uniquely written for that time. So that means inherently that like when there were content delays, like we did not get a Halloween event last year. And the Christmas event made reference to that because there was a quest where somebody had accidentally put out some of the Halloween decorations and you had to go put those away. So there was a tribute, right? Thanks for sharing Prime with us. Thank you. Yeah. But the free trial gets you all the way to level 60. It does not unlock every class in the game because some of them are locked behind purchasing some of the expansions. And the cool thing about starting the free trial now is there's no reason to buy the game, because if you buy Endwalker, when Endwalker comes out, you'll get all the previous expansions for free. So literally just play the free trial till your heart's content. And just know that this game is massive. If you sit down to take it on, and you like story in games, and you decide to take the story seriously, the first game 2.0 was built in 18 months while servicing 1.0, which they actually got rid of. So 1.0 has some elements of story that are told a little slow. It has some elements of voice acting that are not like the best. And so they've gotten a lot better. So ARR is something that a lot of people enjoy, but the team that built ARR got a lot better after ARR. They had a lot more time, they had a lot more money, and they had a lot of practice. And so by the time you get into Heavensward at level 60, or level 50, or you get into Stormblood at level 60, they got a lot better at telling the story the way they wanted to tell it. And so a lot of people find ARR to drag on. It's very slow. Unfortunately, like skipping the first season of a TV show, a big complex TV show like Game of Thrones or Lost or something like that, you can't skip the first season because that's when you get to meet all the characters. So if you skip ARR, it's really hard to enjoy Heavensward or Stormblood. Shadowbringers was written, the current expansion was written to invite those people in. So like Shadowbringers was the first time I took story seriously, and I really enjoyed it. But Heavensward and Stormblood, I tried to enjoy story, but because I skipped A Realm Reborn when I came into the game, because I was not a story-based player, I really had no ability to catch up. There is a system now where I can go replay the story that did not used to exist, but it's still time. Is there a Santa glam? We've gotten different glams over the years. One year we actually got a bear wearing a Christmas hat. Your first and most since RuneScape is a massive gap. Old school RuneScape has been making a massive resurgence. There's a lot of interest in it. You just got your first relic weapon done? Congratulations. I had never finished a relic till this expansion. I'd started a lot of relics, I'd never finished one. As an ex-WoW player, you've loved all this game and it's awesome. WoW and 14 are really, really well paired for people that want the same thing. So WoW and 14 are two sides to the exact same coin. When you ask what an MMORPG is, WoW and 14 operate off of a very similar list of requirements. So for people that like those games but say, I wish that they did things a little differently, or I wish there was more content because I'm done with all the content in the one I'm playing, the other one is a very good option for them. Current WoW has current WoW players legitimately and reasonably frustrated, but a Final Fantasy 14 player that's bored and says, I don't want to play Final Fantasy for the next 19 days, I just want to take a break, if they want to go play a month of WoW, I think they'd have a blast. And then they could come back here, or if they want to go play 2 weeks of WoW, I think they'd have a blast. And then come back here on the 19th. You know? The free trial link might even... free trial. ffixv trial? What's our link, guys? I don't know what the button is. We don't get anything for it. We just have a bot. We have a bot thing in there for it somewhere. I don't know what it is. I don't know. We have some, but yeah, should be easy. If you can't find the free trial, let us know. I'll find you a link. Somewhere I have a bot command that does it. We don't get anything for it, and I should probably make all the ones that were just listed in chat into that bot command so that they all do the same thing. Just because clearly they were all logical guesses. There we go. I think a lot of people enjoy ARR. I think it's just that you don't want somebody who doesn't like ARR to think that the game doesn't get better. So if you tell people that the game gets better and they like it, that's good news. If you tell people the game gets better and they don't like it, that helps explain to them that the expansions are better. Do I think the free trial includes Stormblood? I do not. I do not. I don't see any reason to. It's already immensely long. They could do it, but definitely not at launch. If they do it, it would be later. I think they're better off rebuilding the player experience with 7.0, personally. I think we were faster that time. Alright. That gets you to... Did that get you to 63? It did not! That got one of you to 63. How close are you? Farmer Girl, thank you. If the game gets better than what you're doing... Yeah, exactly. It's really... It's great to tell people... Is it close enough that, like... Is there anything else we could do? Do you have a roulette you haven't done? Just queue for Frontlines. How long is Frontlines right now? Have you done Frontlines? I just don't want to run the same dungeon 67 times. I will if we need to, but... We just ran it twice back to back. Alright. Queue for Frontlines. I don't do Frontlines... I don't do Frontlines earlier in the day, because the queue times on PvP in the morning is really long. Because you have to fill the entire lobby. Because Frontlines is massive. Alright. Farmer Girl, thank you. The current free trial says it's 1 month. Is it actually 1 month, or is it free until you sub for the first time? The free trial is free until you sub. Or it's free until you purchase the game. So, it's literally unlimited time to Heavensward. As soon as you buy the game and activate that code on your account, that will come with 1 free month. And after that month expires, even if you're still in ARR, you would have to start paying. Now, the free trial does restrict. You can only hold 300,000 gil. You can't join a guild. You can't do PvP because people were abusing it. There's a whole host of restrictions. If you're just trying out, like, leveling the game, seeing if you like the combat system. Granted, the combat system is really slow below level 30 because they assume you've never played a video game in your life. And so for some people, maybe they haven't played a video game in their life and they think it's great. But for anybody that's ever played an MMO at all, the combat below level 30 is incredibly slow. You have like 3 buttons and there's 2.5 seconds between every single one. So I would literally just get the free trial and purchase nothing. And just wait until you feel restricted by that. So you're doing story and you hit the end of Heavensward and you want to go to Stormblood, or there's a class you want to play and it's not available, or you want to try PvP, or you're at 300,000 gil and you want more. I would just literally stay in the free trial until something made you leave the free trial. Me personally. Like, why not? Why not just take advantage of all the free stuff? And then, because on November 19th, Endwalker will include prior expansions. If you buy Endwalker right now, you do not have access beyond the free trial until November 23rd when they distribute your code for it. Because the 23rd is the official release date. The 19th is the day you get to go in if you pre-order.